try to drop some nuggets. I'm sure it'll be amazing. But thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, this is going to be really good. Okay, Alexa, and it's going to start right here. Alexa off. Yes. One for one, baby. Neat. I like it.
My Alexa listens to me half the time.
Yeah, right? I mean, usually I'll say something and she doesn't listen.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes Brandon on the other side to actually talk. I think he talks to Alexa more than I do.
Yeah.
Definitely recognizes his voice. Okay, we live? We ready to roll?
Yeah, the show's great so far.
It's really good. All right, guys. On this jam session, Chastin J Miles stops by. All right, man. This is the 84th episode of the BobMortgage Jam Session. 84, man.
Wow.
We're rolling. And I'm super stoked to have you here, okay? And well, it's taken a while, and I'm really, really happy because, I mean, God, dude, this guy's an author, first entrepreneur, like a serial entrepreneur, an author. You've written a book, you do real estate, you are a leader of a team, Founders Real Estate Group. I know there's probably a whole lot more that we're going to get into and talk about, but now that I have you, I really want to dive deep into things that are centered around, because you're a YouTuber. I want to talk about like how you grew your audience, branding, marketing, tips and tricks on how agents can benefit from some of the knowledge that you're going to bring to grow their audiences, and how to help them get to six figures. 100,000 plus, right? 200,000 plus, whatever that number is going to be for you guys, but also to create a life that they want to live, right? So I want to kind of bring all that together because I know that's exactly the wheelhouse that in the space that you live in every day. So, but before we get started, we got a lot of cameras rolling.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a lot.
and there are people probably on all these cameras that know who you are. Okay, they may, right? And there may be some that don't. There may be a couple, right?
Right.
But this is where the jam session makes the most impact for me, is hopefully I can connect you with one person, 1,000 people, whatever it is. And 6 months, 12 months down the road, somebody says, Bob, thanks so much for connecting me with Chastin, dude. He changed my life. That is why this show exists. Okay, that's why this jam session exists. So from a 30,000 foot view, just really quick, give everybody that doesn't know who you are a little taste of who Chastin J Miles is.
Sure. I'm all those things that you named, and honestly, every time I'm sitting in an interview or I even read my own bio, I'm kind of like, dang, that's me.
Wow, I've done this. This is cool.
But no,
you manifested it. I mean, you had to create it.
I did, and the road has definitely been very interesting. But I started my real estate journey actually back in college. I started back in college when I lived in Georgia. I said, hey, I want to become a real estate agent. And it was after trying to hire a real estate agent for me and my buddy so that we could move off campus for various reasons. And that's when I got like my first taste of real estate. And so I didn't really have a lot of money. I didn't know anything about real estate, but I enrolled in real estate school.
Okay.
On a payment plan, by the way, because again, I didn't have a lot. So I convinced this school to let me do a payment plan. And unfortunately, I couldn't continue with the payment. So I only was in there for like a month.
Uh-huh.
And I made the decision to move to Texas. I mean, it was just literally a decision out of nowhere. And
well, most people that aren't from here get here as quickly as they could. So you did it. You made a good decision, my man.
Yeah. No, yeah. And it's been such a great move. But I decided to move to Texas, and
okay.
I said to myself when I got here, I was going to get in real estate. And that's what I did. So I enrolled in real estate school again. This time I did it online and got in real estate, not really knowing that this was a business where you needed like relationships and kind of
it's not transactional, so it's kind of relational.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and to kind of be like a little bit smart. And I wasn't any of those things. I didn't barely know the streets. And so I was this kid. I was around 24 at the time, trying to build a real estate business, and
which was just a couple of years ago, because you're probably no more than 26.
No, I just turned 30, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't show. It's not going to show at all. But I decided to do this, and I've literally been on this path ever since, just from that move and getting in again. I passed my test on the first try, which I by one question wasn't expecting that to happen by any means, because You know when you're taking a test and you get to a certain point where you're just like, I know I failed this, so you just start clicking. You just start clicking.
You start clicking.
Oh yeah,
Always,
and that was
always,
me.
always C,
Yeah.
or all of the above, or none of the above, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so when it showed me that I passed, I rushed out of there so quickly to like get my certificate. I was like, this has
Don't
to
let
be a
them double
mistake.
check the numbers.
Yeah. And literally, I've been in here ever since, and this is where we are today from that one decision.
Well, that one decision, though, and there's a lot that's been accomplished, and that was what, 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 6 years ago, a lot. You've accomplished a lot of things, and probably on the back of one word, hustling. I mean,
Right.
it's a grind, it's a hustle to do what you do every single day. And for me, I mean, I've been in this for 22 years,
Wow.
and I've had to recreate and evolve, and I love it because you have to wake up every single day and just work your face off. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to hustle. You got to. It's a grind. I mean, it's not glamorous. I mean, people think that okay, it could be glamorous to do what we do. Man, we're sitting here on phones. We're dialing for dollars. We're talking all the time to people, and yeah, we get to do all this fun stuff in the media. But man, it's a lot of work.
It
But
is.
it also provides us a lot completely different level of freedom than what most people have. And I love to see all the hustling that you're going and doing every single day.
Yeah, and Bob, that's such a strong word, freedom,
Mm.
because it wasn't something that I necessarily saw growing up.
Yeah.
I saw my mom just working multiple jobs and coming home trying to provide for us, not being in control of her own life and being told to do things. And then you grow up and you're in school and you're told to do everything, and everything is controlled by somebody else. And then you're in college and you're told to do everything, and then when you reach this level of freedom, or you start to like seek freedom and get a little taste of it, then you're like, I want more of that. I want more of that. And that's really where I feel like the hustle comes from.
Mhm.
It's from that yearning of, I don't want to go back to not being free. I don't want to go back to being told what to do and being told how to act and how to dress and
Yeah, but
everything.
let's make sure we clarify something, because that freedom doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to work
Oh, yeah.
or you work less.
Mm,
The price that you pay to be able to achieve that level of freedom is a road paved with a lot of work.
right.
I mean, I work just like I mean, I'm working harder than I've ever worked before, only because I do see the freedom that it gives me on a daily basis, even on an hourly basis or a weekly or monthly basis. I get moments of my life back,
Yeah.
even though I'm willing to put in so much more work than most,
Yeah.
right?
And would you agree? I mean, it's a different type of work.
Oh, well, I don't consider this work.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I really don't. I mean,
Exactly.
it's not. I mean, when you find a passion, when you find something that you truly love and you care about, and the passion comes from understanding why you do what you do.
Mhm.
What we do here in this side of our business, the media side, is purely about education.
Yeah.
It's about giving more than we can ever receive. We try to outpace our give to our receive, because if we do that, everything else takes care of on the mortgage side, because that's how we pay for all this stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so we have to be focused only on that, and that's fun,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, you do this. I mean, I've looked at the numbers, dude. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how the hell do I get to these numbers, right? I mean, mortgages aren't sexy, so I struggle with it. But I mean, you really have built this social brand, this space where people come to you from all over.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your YouTuber? You got like 25 or so, 20-something thousand people that have subscribed to your channel.
Yes.
How the hell did that happen?
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. I won't say that it was the intention. When I started filming for YouTube, it wasn't me trying to become a YouTube sensation or YouTube star
Okay.
or anything, because back then, especially for me being a millennial, YouTube was just another social media network. Whenever
Right.
something popped off on social media, whether it was MySpace or Twitter or Facebook, everybody kind of ran to it. And I remember when it was this new YouTube, so naturally, me being the age that I was like, okay, I'm ready to be on this one now.
Sure.
And so I just started filming videos, and it was it was during that time when I had first got in real estate and nothing was really working out for me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
nothing was going how I thought it was going to go. And so naturally, I just got on YouTube the same way people start, I don't want to say complaining on Facebook, but the same way people start venting on things like Facebook and Twitter, I got on YouTube doing it. And it wasn't necessarily me recording videos in hopes of people watching them or anything
Uh-huh.
like that. It
Okay.
was more so just an outlet for me. And then
Really?
the followers started coming, and then people started communicating with me and, suggesting and wanting me to talk about things. And that's kind of how it grew from there.
So how long ago was that?
That was back in, I want to say 2014 when I first set up my
2014.
channel. Yeah, and I wasn't taking it seriously again. So there was long breaks, like a year, where I wouldn't even put anything on there, or when I wouldn't even log into that account, and then I would get in there, and I'm like, wait, what are these like subscribers, and like where are these comments? And
Right.
I would say I got more serious with it around maybe like 2016 and trying to be more consistent. But over the last year is when it got real.
So the consistency of putting out the content is really
Mhm.
one of the things that help, one of the catalysts that help drive up the subscriber base.
Yeah.
But it has to, I mean, we're consistent.
Hmm.
I mean, we put out content every single day,
Yeah.
multiple times a day. So, like, what is it then about the content that is driving engagement? What are you doing differently with your content that drives that engagement to get the subscriber base up?
I would say the one thing that I'm doing differently is I'm giving my audience what they want. I'm actively listening to my audience to see what they're wanting me to talk about. Even with YouTube, I've tried putting just homes on there, and I've tried recording those videos, how to buy a home and what to do, and nobody's watching that stuff,
Right.
for me.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I really started to listen to my audience, and it turns out my audience were mostly other real estate agents
Okay.
who were wanting to hear about the real estate business.
Okay.
And so once I started producing more of that content, then that audience really grew. So it's really paying attention to your audience. And I didn't know where my audience was going to lead me. I didn't know that I was going to be making videos for real estate agents.
Right. You maybe were thinking you were making videos for people that wanted to buy a house,
Yeah.
what to do, how much to put down, do you
Yeah.
have to put 20% down? That wasn't your audience.
No,
That's what
it
you were
wasn't.
finding.
My audience led me to them, and it wasn't until like I said, I really connected with them that things started taking off on YouTube and social media.
Wow.
So it does. I mean, you
I mean,
have to be
that's a
consistent.
powerful nugget, guys, because just listen to that. And it's something I need to learn too, okay? I mean, so this is great content here. You have to listen to your audience. You may think you know what your audience wants to hear, but the reality is you need to be listening to them and asking them what they want.
Mhm.
And then you'll start to see that engagement come up because they're going to be telling you what it is. And then you're going to see, oh my gosh, I have all agents that are really following me. I need to put more content out for that audience.
Yep.
And then it starts to grow.
Yep, for sure.
Is that?
That's 100% what's happened. And I mean, even today, I may put out a video that's for agents, but they don't necessarily receive it well because it's not necessarily a topic that they care about.
Yeah.
And so as you start to put more content out there, you're going to start seeing trends. You're going to see like where your spikes are. You're
Yep.
going to see like what nobody's really watching. And it's like when you see those spikes, that's the stuff you want to record more about, or you want to put more
Mhm.
out there about it.
Well, and you went in with just that the point that you made about just going in to vent. You didn't really go in with a specific niche that you were targeting,
Nope.
a niche of consumers, right?
Right.
Of consumer direct type stuff. So a lot of agents out there may be saying, okay, I'm not after the agent
Mhm.
base because you do coaching and you do a lot of other things. So they may be sitting here saying, I want just this niche. And guys, that's okay. I mean, that's perfectly fine. If you know your niche, then you need to go deeper into that niche and find ways to engage with those people, whether it's through Facebook groups, it's through your hashtags, it's different things that we can talk about. But you need to really go hard on that niche. But for you didn't really have a niche. You just wanted to vent, and then it started to come to you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and that goes back to me not necessarily having an angle or a motive behind it or even a plan behind what I was doing on there. If I was to do it completely differently now and to just start over,
Okay.
so many people are big on other networks. So let's take Facebook for instance.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people communicate on Facebook, and it's very easy to identify what your audience likes on Facebook. So it's like you can look through your previous posts, see what got the most comments, see what got the most likes and everything, and turn that into a video topic and take people from there to your other networks. And you already know that it's something that people found interesting and that they liked. And so we have the data there.
Yeah.
It's just about utilizing it to its maximum potential if you're going to go down that road.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things that we do to that point is, we may put out what we call our cornerstone or long form piece of content, right? And then if we're getting engagement in a certain segment of that, from people's comments, then Brandon and the team can rip out that 1 minute segment and then put it on Instagram for a piece of micro content.
Yeah.
Right. And so the more that you're listening to them, it'll tell you what they really like. And then you just try to go, then you create. And so what we'll do, you see all these images back here, then all of a sudden it becomes, not only is it long form, then it becomes a micro piece, and then it becomes an image, and we strip out a quote from there. And I mean, it works. You see some of the stuff back here. I mean, you see the grind, the work, the hustle. I mean, I follow Gary Vee. I mean, that's one of the guys that I follow heavily, and I've picked up so much from him because he makes me the most uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when I look at, because you said you started this in 2014. It was more of a venting platform, and what you've built it to today. I'm very far from your numbers as far as subscribers and followers, but I had a moment in my life where I woke up in 2016 and I wanted to change the landscape. I wanted to change my game. Right. I didn't want to be a loan officer for another 22 years because I've done a lot of different things in my career, and I took to video, my back up against the wall, not having in this world any business, any revenue or anything like that. And I wanted to change the game. So I had to take the video to do that. And it was just one camera, a teleprompter, and me sitting here, talking about mortgages, and that was the point. But I wasn't going after consumers. I was going after real estate agents. Right. And we started to see it evolve and develop, and I started to follow people like Gary Vee and Grant Cardone and Ty Lopez, people that really kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone a bit more, and you started to see how that game could really, really change if you play it correctly. And we started really going down that, and this is kind of where all the media stuff came in.
This is awesome.
Well, I mean, and for you, like the social stuff. Now, that was before the book, right? Because you wrote a book, which I love the title. It's like I was talking to Brandon. It's the real before the estate.
Yeah.
The things you wish you would have known before you got into real estate, right?
Yep, that's it.
Damn.
You got it.
Nailed it. I follow this guy. I like what you do. So tell me, what was the point with that book? I mean, why did that come about? How did it come about? When did you write it? And then what are you using it for?
I mean, I'm going to answer what I'm using it for first. I'm using it to say what people aren't saying. I remember when I got in the business, and even like when I was interviewing around at brokerages, everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, you're gonna do great. You're gonna kill it out there. You're gonna do this and that," and they didn't know
it's
anything
easy.
about me.
It's easy.
It's easy, and I mean, even from taking that real estate test, I knew that like all that was a lie,
right?
And even today, like there's so much being put out there, and so many things not being said about really working in real estate. And like you said earlier, people think it's super glamorous and it's this and that, but there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it, and there's so many things that you have to overcome just to find success in this business. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to break the silence with this book. I wanted to put out there again the things that I felt like people weren't saying, but I wanted to do it from my point of view. And I share many stories and experiences in there and life-altering moments that I feel like have truly defined me today that are pretty common in the industry. I mean, there's a lot of things in that book that a lot of agents go through, and unfortunately, when those things happen, they quit because they don't have the previous mindset. You know, they were told something else, and when things don't line up to that, it's kind of like, oh well, this isn't working for me, or I'm not supposed to do this, or I'm not good at this. And so, my true intention is to really tell you the real about this industry
Hmm.
and the career to really see if it's something that you want to do. You know, I'm not trying to sway anybody from getting in real estate. It's more so I want people to make a true conscious effort based on the reality and
Hmm.
not based on a TV show.
So, what would be, I guess, three or five, whatever number you want to give me, three like most important traits that an agent has to have, like to be successful at it? I mean, because a lot of people are sitting here like, hey, I want to get into real estate.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, you probably have to have a couple of characteristics or traits to know that this is going to be something that's going to work for them.
Yep. The first one I would say is definitely patience. Patience is the biggest trait that I feel like um, new agents or any agent needs to make sure that they can possess, because if you don't have patience, like, you're not gonna last. And I didn't have a lot of patience in the beginning
Right.
because I was just like, it should have happened by now, you
Sure.
know. So patience is definitely important. Next is persistence. You have to be persistent in everything that you're doing. Like, you're gonna have mountains in front of you. You're gonna be
Yeah.
having rocks thrown at you. You have to be able to dodge the bullets and continue, because there's a lot of things that you may feel like will literally force you out of the business. I experienced a lot of those things. And then lastly, I would say you you need to know how to sell,
Hmm.
or or learn how to sell,
Hmm.
because that was something that I didn't necessarily know before. But once I studied and I learned and I followed people the same way you did, I mean, it makes generating business, closing business. I mean, you need to know how to do that. And so, knowing how to sell, I mean, it's going to take you far in this industry and
Sure.
any other industry.
Yeah. So patience, persistence, and knowing, learning how to sell,
Literally sell.
and
Yeah.
and the selling aspects of that, is that going to be for your world, your industry, more on the phones?
I tell agents all the time, it's whatever you feel like works best for you.
Okay.
Because when I first got into business, I was trying any and everything.
Uh
I
huh.
was doing whatever I could to try to get business. I mean, I actually released a publication, 50 Ways to Lead Generate, where I dive deep into all those different things that I tried, you
Okay.
know. But I really figured out that a lot of them I weren't successful at. I wasn't
Hmm.
getting business from, like, even today, I tell people all the time, I don't door knock. I,
Right.
I mean, that's just not my thing.
Sure.
But once I found those true things that I like as far as selling and lead generating, I found more enjoyment in doing it. It
Hmm.
became more like a game. It didn't hurt me
Yeah.
as much.
Yep.
It didn't make me want to, wet my pants all the time
Hmm.
whenever I was doing it. And those are the things that I focused on, and I became really good at it.
So, but you had to try. You had
I
to
had to try.
try all of them, and then you could figure out which ones you enjoyed the most and were the best at,
Yep.
and then you honed those skills.
Yep.
So for those that are out there, that it's fear based, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to try all these because there is a sense of fear that they have of rejection, or um, just picking up the phone and calling. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something there. So how do people overcome, in your mind, how do they overcome that fear?
I think that's where the persistence comes in. You're going to be faced with fear on every corner in just normal life.
Hmm.
Fear is just a part of life, and it's really your mindset and the goals that you have at the end of the day that are going to be able to overcome that. And so, really having that persistence in knowing that, hey, not everything is going to work out. Even today, for me, not everything works out. Some things make me highly uncomfortable. Like, I can be so scared to even do certain things, but I know in that fear, I'm gonna find a reward. I
Hmm.
know by stepping outside of my comfort zone, it's gonna take me to a new level. And you just have to man up sometimes
Sure.
and face that battle.
Guys, that's really some really amazing points there, because you've mentioned mindset a couple of times, and if you guys follow me, I know most of them do. If you don't over there, please follow me, Bob Mortgage, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Starting a podcast. So, I talk about podcasts all the time. Oh, look at there it is. It just popped up. 100% Bob, an audio experience. So there's a lot of things that I do, and I have brand by Bob Mortgage, but really we're kind of shifting a little bit because I do mortgage, and there's a lot of other things that we go with. So 100% Bob is kind of going to be one of those things that just encompasses everything. Yeah. So how timely was that? But when we talk about mindset, it is a belief. It is the will and the belief that you have in yourself that it overcomes fear. 100% every single time. It's your belief in yourself that can help you overcome fear. And it's the part of that is why you're doing what you're doing. It's not necessarily to make a sell. Okay? It's to either move yourself forward, right, in your business, your life, to help you get uncomfortable by being comfortable. Right? It's just understanding that one little thing is that this is going to help me overcome something. And then it's the other part, which is I'm doing this for you, right? When you make that call, it's not about selling them something. I'm actually trying to help you. Mm-hmm. And then you have to refine your sales skills. You have to, I'm sure you talk about scripts and all, you have to refine all that, because if they feel like you're there just to sell them something, the game's already lost. You've lost the game, yep. Right? You didn't even get a hit. And so you have to figure out, okay, what is my script going to be? What am I going to be saying to get to first base? Because I play baseball, first base, second base, third base, all the way to home plate, which is ultimately the opportunity to help that person to make that closure, right? Whether it's in real estate or cars or whatever, right? And so you have to figure out how to get to each one of those bases. And I think it really starts with the belief that you have in yourself, and understanding really why you're doing what you're doing.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of things. This was something said by one of my good mentors. There's a lot of things that are going to put weight on you in this business, but you can't let them weigh you down.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I mean, you can't let them push you into the ground. I mean, again, there's a lot of things out here. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ways to get business. There's a lot of situations that you're going to be in, but know at the end of the day, like you're stronger than that. Mm-hmm. You're stronger than that bad phone call. You're stronger than that mean client.
Right. And you are stronger. And I think that, guys, I love winning more than I hate losing more than I love winning, right? But there is no losing. There's only learning.
Absolutely.
And so once you can flip the script on that and know that when you make that call and you didn't get the sell, it's not a loss. You learned something. You just need to be open to understanding what it is that you learned.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes calling a client back and just say, hey, I'm just curious. Or when you're on the phone, then they say, no. That's awesome. Can you help me understand what I did wrong? What I could have done better to get you to say yes? Just flip it to that way, and they would say, oh, you could have done this, or I was really thinking about this. Now you may have more ammunition to go back to them, right, to sell them later, but more importantly, you gain some invaluable knowledge that when you pick up the phone the next time to call that next client, you know how to sell then, right?
Got it. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, what did I do wrong? I mean, everything's great. What did I do? Please tell me how to sell you, right? And a lot of people will do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, there's some agents out there that, what is the national average for a real estate agent, honestly, an income like $30,000, $40,000 a year?
Yeah, right.
Okay, right. Okay, so how do we get them to $100,000? You do coaching, you bring people onto your because you have a real estate team, Founders Realty Group, right?
Yep.
So how do we get these agents to $100,000?
I believe that, and I preach that it starts with a plan, and then you have to have systems to carry out your plan.
Okay.
When you blend those two things together, because what I find is a lot of agents are just out here acting, just being agents. You're not tracking your numbers, you're not tracking your business, your efforts. You're just kind of running to the next thing and trying this, oh that didn't work, trying this, oh that didn't work. And there's no real plan. Like, yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
want to make money, we
Sure.
want to build a great business, but what does that look like?
What does that really mean?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and then what efforts am I going to do to hit that number? How am I going to be tracking this? What systems do I have in place for this? So it comes down to treating your actual real estate license and you being a realtor as a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I preach this all the time because I've learned so many things when I've stopped necessarily acting as an agent and
Okay.
started acting more as a business owner and tracking finances and just any and everything. And that's where the growth comes through. I mean, real estate. There's no secret to how to build this business.
Okay.
There's nothing that just hasn't been done. There's mentors and coaches all over the
All over the
place.
place.
But unfortunately, everybody is like just trying to figure it all out, and there's no real need to figure it out when
Mm-hmm.
you can just simply align yourself with someone who's done it, or
Mm-hmm.
or with the right people to provide you the plan and to provide you with the systems. And then it's super easy at that point. You just have to do it.
Well, so taking it to your team, the Founders
Mhm.
Realty Group. So I'm assuming that's what you do.
Yeah.
You provide them with a plan, a system, accountability, so that they don't have to worry about that. They plug and play, and then all they have to do is go execute. Is that? I mean, I'm breaking it down pretty simple, but
Absolutely.
okay.
And I even interviewed someone yesterday and I told them that's one of the first things that we do in your first day of orientation. We do your business plan because it's important for me as a team leader to make sure that I understand your goals. And I mean, I have a huge amount of accountability on my agents, but I hold them accountable to what their goal is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily about what I want my number to be at the end of the day. It's in our first meeting, in your first day of work, you told me
Mm-hmm.
that you wanted to make X amount of dollars.
Right.
And I told you this is what has to be done for that.
Mm-hmm.
So every accountability meeting, every pipeline meeting is going to come down to what you wanted.
Sure.
And it changes the whole perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
I have some.
It's
guys,
not my goal.
Yeah.
It's not my goal. This was your goal that you told me
Mhm.
that you wanted to achieve.
Yep.
My job is to help you get there.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you right now, you're not doing the daily activity that needs to happen to get to your number.
Yep. And that happens on day one.
Yeah.
From the start. That's the first meeting.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities there because I talk to my guys about that all the time. I mean, you have to have, we all have certain income goals that we want to achieve, right? That's great. Awesome. What do you want to achieve? That's the easiest. That's the first place to start because in sales, that's what they always go to, right? Okay, awesome. Now that's one part of your vision. Let's talk about the other part. Okay, what is work life? They call it balance. I call it harmony because there's really no balance. It's just harmony. We live in work and personal life all the time, right? And so, what does that look like for you? What are you willing to do every day? Because I'm going to tell you. Let's say we talked about $100,000, right? So an agent wants to make $100,000. That becomes part of their vision. What does that daily activity look like? Because if it doesn't line up to what would equate to $200,000 or $300,000 in income, they will not hit $100,000.
Right.
Are you finding that to be true in your world?
Absolutely, and that's the second activity that we do at that meeting is we do a daily schedule.
Oh wow, okay.
Because it has to start.
This wasn't planned, guys, at all. I promise.
and I'm literally letting you. I mean, these are my true onboarding meetings. We do a daily schedule, and I print one out, and we fill it out together. And I put those activities on there, and then I let them put those life balance activities on there. Okay, you
Uh-huh.
have kids, so and you have to take them to school during this time, and then we plug in the gaps
Sure.
because, like I tell people all the time, there's that full 24 hours in the day.
Hmm.
So I want to make sure that you are utilizing as much as possible. And again, it's coming down to what you need. What you told me you
Sure.
need. I'm letting you plug these in, and we're
Hmm.
gonna fill in all the gaps.
Hmm.
And so, work life balance comes down to that schedule,
Hmm.
and it becomes a part of life.
Hmm.
That calendar, those notifications, keeping yourself organized. This is a system, like we talked about before,
Hmm.
and then you start to get comfortable with it, and then you realize, okay, yeah, I have a pretty good work life balance because you've planned it out and
Hmm.
you know what you're doing
Right.
when you're supposed to be doing it.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, hope is not a plan.
Right.
I
Yeah.
hope to be able to achieve this.
Hmm.
I would like to be able to do this. I hope to be able to accomplish this. Hope's not a plan.
Right.
You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan that you can execute on.
Hmm.
I mean, people will put out these I want to make $1 million. Great, love it. But if your daily activities match up to $100,000 or $200,000, you'll never hit it.
Right.
And so you have to be willing to take that massive action. And so if it's $100,000, your massive action should be equated to what would be to achieve $300,000 in income.
Mhm.
Because as we know, things happen,
Yeah.
right? Clients shift. They decide to stop. They decide not to buy or not to sell. They decide, or you decide that, I need more balance tipping to the scale of personal versus. I mean, it's just life, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you get sick. I mean, things are going to happen. So, what does that daily activity look like? And a lot of times we can find that, they're not willing to put in the work,
Yeah.
the hustle, the grind, the
Sure.
stuff that's not sexy,
Yeah.
right? They want to be, you know, at happy hours and taking
Right.
pictures and all that kind of stuff, and not really doing all the stuff behind the scenes,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
It's cool that they want to have free time to pick their kids up at school. Awesome.
Yeah.
But are you willing to stay late and work till, making those phone calls 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night?
Hmm. Yeah. You have to be very purposeful with all of your activities, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So is the book that you wrote, is it something that can people buy it?
Yeah, of course.
Where do they find it at?
It's on Amazon. You can go directly to my website. It's on there.
Well, you got to give them the website.
ChastinJmiles.com.
ChastinJmiles.com.
but yeah, it's definitely on Amazon, and
Okay.
now it's available on Amazon Prime, so you can get it very quickly.
Oh, look
I
at
know.
that.
It's so awesome. But yeah.
Okay.
That's what the book is.
So that's where they do that. Now, if they want to find out more about like the founders, the realty group and kind of what you offer there. I mean, is it a team? I mean, so are you looking to grow? I mean, I asked you that. Are you looking to grow agents on that part of the business?
I tell people I'm not actively recruiting, but if the right person comes along,
Sure.
I'm definitely open to have a conversation. My team, I literally treat it like my baby. I'm very conscious of the culture,
Uh-huh.
and I look for that hustle in
Mm-hmm.
people's eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
the real drive to want to become better and want to build a real estate business. And so I'm open to having conversation. Anything that we have open is on our website, foundersre.com.
Okay.
But it has to align.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just has to align.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
which is
best thing I
perfectly
can
fine.
say about
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
if it happens, it happens. But
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's not like you're forced to do something,
Right,
right?
right.
It's gotta be the right fit. Okay, and so the book, so that now on the coaching side, I mean, is that part of what you just offer if they're part of the founders group, or do you do coaching for? Is it just agents that are just all over, or how
Yeah,
does that
so
work?
Founders Group is my personal real estate team. So,
Okay.
So we're just here in Dallas, and we work together. But my coaching, that's nationwide. So
Okay.
we hop on a Zoom call every Monday,
Uh huh.
and there's a lot of conversation. We're part of a private Facebook group.
Sure.
I give a lot of resources, and we overcome stuff. We role play. We do a lot of stuff. It's a truly legit real estate coaching platform. So yeah, but it's open to any agent. You have to be licensed though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because it just wouldn't be worth your while. But yeah, I'm seeing some really great results out of the agents in that group, and it's truly remarkable.
So, I mean, you look at all these things and you talk about like a serial entrepreneur. I mean, how does a serial entrepreneur think? I mean, like, how did you start all these things? And I mean, what was the mindset for you to get into all these different lines of businesses?
I would say that I think in terms of opportunity, you know, and in terms of like needs, like where is there a true strong need, and is there an opportunity for me to do something in that area?
Hmm.
Is there an opportunity for me at my level and my skill set and my knowledge to make a difference in that area?
Yep.
There's a lot of things that I don't agree to or don't sign on because it's just like, no, that's not me. That's not what I preach. That just doesn't align.
Hmm.
But for the things that I do see that true opportunity to make a difference, and I see that there's a need for it and a want for it, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I talk like, it's not fear that keeps me up at night. It's opportunity.
hmm
And when you really struggle and you get excited, are you more struggling with the fear aspects of what it is that you're walking into? Then you're probably not thinking the right way
yeah,
from an entrepreneur side, or being able to find opportunities to solve people's challenges. That is the stuff that keeps me up, because it's like, oh my God, what about this? What about this? What about this? Now,
yeah,
the biggest challenge is you gotta, you can be a jack of all trades and a master of none,
yeah,
right? So you got to start figuring out what it is that you feel you have the greatest opportunity to solve the biggest challenges for most people, or have the biggest impact
yeah.
in people's lives.
Yeah, and I like to be very involved in anything that I choose to do, whether it's me personally starting it or just coming on board with someone else. I like to be pretty involved, and that's why I truly make sure that my skill set and my knowledge and my goals and morals
Hmm.
truly go with whatever their mission is.
Okay. So we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got LinkedIn, we got YouTube, we got Twitter. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones, but those are the five.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the agents out there that are thinking about, okay, where do I start? Right? Which one would they start with?
Start with the one that you have the most people on already.
Okay.
So instead of just starting just fresh and brand new, start with where your network is already. Whether
For most, I mean, that may be Facebook for most, but I mean, but you say find the network where you have the most people.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Even today for me, I mean, Facebook is not my most active place. Like I mean, I do post on Facebook, but YouTube is where you go to find me. Like if you
Right.
truly want to see a lot, YouTube I mean, that's my place. And it's different for everybody. There's some people that are super successful on Instagram, and there are others who like blows my mind. But I have a buddy of mine. He's so successful on Twitter, whereas most people can't
Right.
even make a dent in Twitter today.
Right.
So just go where your biggest network is so far.
And where you feel the most comfortable
Hmm
with your voice, right? So, guys, you got to find your voice when you start thinking about how you're going to engage with your peeps,
hmm
right? So it may not be video, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, it may not be. You may love to share your knowledge and find that you can have more impact just by doing podcasts. You don't feel like you look good. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
you got to find it, and if that means do podcasts are blowing up. I mean, it's huge,
it
right?
is.
So go seek and do spread your message through podcasts. Maybe you just love to write,
Yeah.
do blogs. I mean, LinkedIn's a great place for that, right? So I
hmm
mean, guys, there's so many different ways to engage and impact people and impact your life and your business. Don't be just focused on one thing,
Yeah.
right? And not do it, because that's what I find. They say, I got to do video, and they never start because they're so afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so easy these days to repurpose content. And so, like you said, start with where you're comfortable. and let that content be your just main place, and then repurpose it on all the other networks, and your following will grow.
Hey, I mean, the way we're doing it is, I mean, we're taking like our first, because we're just launching this podcast series. So we have so much content already. We're just going to strip out the audio from stuff that we've already done, repurpose it over to a podcast.
Great idea. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to, now granted, I'm going to do special one-off episodes that are just for podcast only, my podcast followers only. But I mean, we do so much already. Just strip out the audio, put it up there. It's ready to roll, because people they don't watch videos. They'd rather just plug it in. My wife won't watch any of my videos, but she goes, if you put it on a podcast, I'll listen to it all day long.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, I'm listening to my audience, Chastin.
Yeah, listening to your audience.
So where are you going, man? What's the next? What does this year look like? What does next year look like? What does the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, give me some of that. Give me some of that, and what's up in your head that you're going to do next.
Gosh, so right now, what I'm working on is I am blending my coaching platform and my following, and blending it with my real estate team, to where we are moving into more of a nationwide network of realtors.
Okay.
And I recently joined a company that allows us to do that. And so taking things in that direction, to where we can truly build a larger brand, and have a set way of doing business, to kind of make our mark in the industry. So definitely working on that, and I'm working with a few different startups that I can't really say much about, but
sure,
some tech startups that are for the real estate industry.
Okay.
That would definitely be beneficial to agents, and that's just kind of where I'm at right now. So, and I feel like I need to do a podcast now.
You do. Well, I mean, hell, you repurpose it. I mean, just repurpose your stuff. I mean, it's super easy. It's just, there's so many, like we talked about, there's so many things that there are opportunities that are out there. It's just finding ways to maximize each one of them for the betterment of your audience, right? And podcast just wasn't one of ours in the very beginning. We focused more on the video stuff, because that's where I started, and really going big in 2016 on it. And it's just it's just one thing that led to another, and it's just like, it's time, right? I mean, it's time, and we may find. Honestly, guys, we may find that we may, shrink down some of the video stuff that we do and really push it over to the audio stuff if we find that we're having more impact there. We don't know. I mean, we're just going to keep testing and trying and seeing what happens.
Your stuff is awesome, though, and
I love
thanks. The amount of content that you put out, because I'm one that truly believes in there's just no limit. And I tell people all the time, because I get this question a lot. It's like, well, what time should I post this, and how many posts should I do on my business page a week, and this, and I'm just kind of like, do it all day, like every opportunity, treat all these networks like it's a Twitter feed, and it's only up there for 3 seconds. So
right.
I like the amount of content that you have out there and that you're constantly putting out there. It's really awesome. It's a model that a lot of people should follow, and not be scared. Just do it,
Thank you very much. Yeah. I really appreciate that, because it's hard. I mean, it's not easy to do this, and I had to make that decision in 2017, 2018, because I had been doing this myself the whole time, and it was a hard work. I mean, I'm a loan officer still, and a loan officer. But I was writing my content every day, and then on Saturdays I would come in, throw up the camera, and I would produce that. And it took me all day to record all these videos, because I thought I had to be perfect, and you were hanging on to every single word that I was saying, right? I mean, I knew that's what you were doing. You were hanging on to every word. Yeah. The reality was you weren't, right? And I found that, wow, my spikes would be, okay, they would watch so many times and then would fall off, and I had to understand the timing of the video, how long people wanted to see it. So I just started to learn. And I used an editor that I had to ship stuff to, and they would splice it up and send it back to me. And when I really started following those people that I mentioned previous, something came to me. I just said, you know what? I can't be half pregnant. Right? I can't be. I mean, I have to go all in on this video, on this media side, because I knew that was what was going to change my business.
Yeah.
It was going to change my business. It was going to change my life. It was going to keep me engaged in this industry for another 22 years. But that means I had to invest. I had to invest in equipment, invest in people, technology, just so that I could just be me.
Yeah.
And that was the other part that I learned. People didn't want Bob in the suit and the tie and all scripted and everything.
Yeah.
They wanted me. And they wanted to see me make mistakes and how I corrected myself. And they wanted to see me be more authentic and relatable.
Yeah.
And that's really who I am. When you really get down to me, if you saw me outside of business, that's really who I am. And I had to bring that to my business world. And that's where I gained a lot more engagement and a lot more impact. And it's fun to just be you, right? And so don't be somebody else, be you.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, it was so funny. Somebody the other day commented on one of my videos, and they were saying, I can't believe you uploaded this with the camera angle right there, and you were sitting in the chair, and I could like see your stomach. Your shirt was tucked in tight, and y'all were so together. And like, I just wrote back. I was like, well, if you were in the room, it would have looked the same way. So, I mean, it's just true to life,
right? And I'm always like, hey, thanks so much for watching the video. I mean, that was like 2 minutes into the video. I really appreciate you hanging on that long, right? I mean, it's you got to love the feedback. I mean, you can't really worry about it. Look, you're going to have people that love you. You're going to have people that hate you. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you just stay true to who you are, what you're doing, and why you're putting out this content. Listen to the audience, because at some point, somewhere down the line, it's going to make some sense to you as to what they're saying. But don't hang on to it, because that will screw up your inner confidence. That will eat at you, and it's going to eventually make you stop doing what you do or forget why you're doing what you do. So that's a big piece of advice, because I have that all the time, and people all that time are criticizing and commenting and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey man, appreciate you watching. I mean, that was 3 minutes into the video. Love it.
Right. And something that helped me when I first started was I didn't think anybody was going to watch the video. So I didn't care.
You didn't care.
Yeah, like, I mean, I didn't, they were literally in my car, old iPhone 4 probably.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think anybody would watch it. And yeah, it cracks me up like when people just go all out and, for just one video, and then you can't be consistent with that because it used your whole budget and but in 2019, and like, this is just something that I want to say to everybody, in 2019, you can't treat this social media thing like it's secondary. It has to become a primary part of your business, the same way whatever you do in your business, if you cold call, if you consistently hold open houses, whatever it is, social media and marketing has to be a primary part of your business. You have to make time for it. It can't it can't be secondary. Like, the way that things are headed, I mean, we're already here actually, but the way that the future is going to be, I mean, you're going to get drowned out.
There's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise. You have to be, marketing isn't being memorable. Yeah. You have to understand how you're going to become memorable, right? In people's feeds.
Yeah.
How do you stand out? What makes you you, and stay true to that. But I agree that if you do not embrace this, you're out of business.
Yeah.
You're already out of business. Sure. Eventually, it's going to happen. And there's a lot of threats and disruptors that are happening in both of our industries. Yeah. And I look at it and I'm like, hey, that's awesome. I don't mind it, because this disruption and threats actually make the A's become A pluses. We start to realize how to change our game, how to better improve and connect, and all this stuff that comes to us. We just look at it and say, wow, opportunity, 7.3 billion people, let's go. Let's talk about mortgages, right? I mean, where before I had to go invite you to a cup of coffee and talk about how great my rates and service and all that crap was and blah, 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 right? I don't do that anymore, right? Don't need to, right? I can do that right here and reach I can reach 3 million people just like that.
Absolutely.
Right? 3 million or 2 million agents, done,
Absolutely.
Right? It happens that way. Yeah. And you never would have, I never would have had that opportunity. And so that's the stuff that keeps me up, right? And it's so cool. So don't worry about threats or things that are happening in disruption. Understand it. Know what the impact is. Fully embrace it. And the A's will get to be A pluses. The ones that are down here, the C's, the agents that are C's, guys, you have a shot, because you don't have very far to fall. You may hit rock bottom quickly, and then you may realize that you need to bounce back up quickly. The ones I'm worried about are the ones that I call the B agents. because they just been, they've been doing okay.
Yeah.
They're set in their ways. They don't really need a lot of change.
Right.
Guys, those are the ones of you guys I'm worried about the most, because you have further to fall, and you're going to be a little bit more reluctant to change.
Yeah.
And when you hit rock bottom, you may be so spent that you don't bounce back up.
Yeah.
And so get with a guy like this who understands social media, understands marketing. Let him tell you what you need to be doing and show you and give you a path to lead you from a B to an A.
Yeah, it's all about shifting. It's all about shifting with the market. We have to make adjustments all the time, and marketing and social media is one of those things. Even with these threats that you reference to, a lot of people ask me and leave me comments like, are you worried about this company? Or are you worried about this company? And I always say no, and they're like, don't you think it's going to take your job? And I mean, it makes perfect sense why they're thinking that.
Sure.
But luckily, I know how to shift. Like, markets are gonna move, and it happens in any industry. Like, let's just take modeling for instance. There's more models today than ever before because of social media. The music industry, there are more artists today that people know of than before. I mean, unless they had a CD in Best Buy or something, you didn't really know them. And
Right.
So it's not necessarily about getting drowned out. That can happen if you let it happen, but you need to take these threats as opportunities for you to shift and to move with them.
Correct.
And to figure out how you can adjust to this, to where you can still thrive, to where you can still make a difference, make your impact, and then they won't seem as scary, and you won't get drowned out.
Right. Dude, that's some good stuff, man. I'm so excited, man. I was happy to have I'm happy to have you on, because I mean you bring a lot of different knowledge and nuggets to the audiences that we serve and stuff like that from a different perspective. And I really wanted to make sure we touched on the marketing, the branding side, and social media, and which one do you go with, and how did you get to 25,000? I mean, it's interesting because the way you started out. It really is interesting how you started out the YouTube channel, which is different than a lot of us, how we start out our social media. We go in with a purpose and a niche, and we go craft that particular message. And some things that I want to pick up from you on that, because obviously we do a lot, but I want to make sure the impact is there and our reach continues to grow. So guys, hopefully you got an amazing amount of knowledge here that he dropped, and hopefully it can definitely impact your life. Chastin, it was a pleasure, brother. I really appreciate having you on the show. Guys, thanks so much for giving us your eyes and your ears today. It really means the world to us and to me, and it's much appreciated. I want you to have an amazing day, and most importantly, go make somebody else's day even better. Take care.
Make it happen.
Yeah.